We're going into a new year, and I'm sure it's safe to say that we are ready to start fresh and move forward. This last year, many of you have been tested in your faith. You faced adversity, you have been in spiritual warfare, and you've constantly been hit over and over with things. Now, this reminds me of one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned, which is nothing is for nothing. Everything has a reason and a purpose. We are not guaranteed that everything's going to be happy and easy. In fact, it actually makes it harder. This reminds me of 5 years ago around this time when my love story with Jesus began. It was the darkest moment of my life. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to live. I was a first-time mom, so my firstborn was 9 months old. I was a teacher still at the time, working full-time, and I was breastfeeding and pumping. So every night I was up in the middle of the night to pump, as well as feed my baby. And then I had to make sure that I had enough milk for the next day during daycare. On top of all of that, I changed schools and grades, so everything was new. Very, very new. I had been in counseling for 1.5 years, and if you've ever been in counseling or know anything about it, it's not easy. It's very hard. In fact, you feel things that happened years ago, specifically something in your childhood, and it's been brought to the surface, and it feels as if it just happened yesterday. The emotions are so strong because you're healing something that you shoved down because you didn't want to feel it at the time. So in all of that, all those emotions plus postpartum emotions, I was overwhelmed. I remember sitting on the floor in the living room right next to the outlet because that's where I had to go right after school to pump every single day because again, I needed to make sure I had enough milk for my baby the next day at daycare. I spent so many times on the floor next to the pump. I honestly felt more bonded with the pump than I did my own baby because I saw my child from afar most of the time or from pictures. My husband was taking care of him way more than I thought I was even able to do because I was so busy and overwhelmed. And in my head, I tricked myself that if I could provide that breast milk for him, that he was successful and he was going to be better and that I was a good mom for providing that. That I was to be a perfect mom based on all these things that I was trying to heal. So in those moments I was sitting there and I remember just sobbing. I remember sitting there and I honestly felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I turned to Mike and I said, I do not want to live. I want to die so badly. I want to kill myself. I can't do this anymore. The only thing that kept me alive in that moment was that, again, I thought I needed to provide that breast milk for my baby and that I was only living for that breast milk to be given to him. He didn't need me. He didn't need this broken, hurt piece of me. Now, it was as if God had come down from heaven and bopped me on the head over and over in the next few days to tell me he was here. I was very much in denial at first and was trying to think logically or coincidentally how something would have happened of all the signs he was giving me, but he constantly was giving them to me to tell me I wasn't alone, to tell me he was here with me and that he was going to carry me through these really hard times. And that's what it makes me think of this last year. Some of you may just be now experiencing this moment, or some of you may be experiencing it again when you've already experienced it years or months ago. None of this is for nothing. Everything has a reason and a purpose. Heidi St. John summarizes what I'm trying to tell you much better than I could in her book, Prayers in the Battlefield. It's scary out there, Lord. I want to protect my kids, and it's comforting to know that you have a plan for the nations and that you have a plan for me and for my children, but still, my faith muscles are weak and I often doubt my ability to be like the Apostle Paul. But then I remember that it wasn't Paul, it was your Spirit in Paul. Fill me with your powerful Spirit, Lord. Help me to look for opportunities to proclaim your truth like Paul did. Help me to model what it looks like to run to the roar of the battle with confidence in you alone. Help me to show my children what it looks like to be bold in my defense of your creation and your word. Help me to teach my children that you have a plan and that it's good. Remind me of your unending faithfulness so that I can then remind my children. The world needs you, Jesus. It needs your hope, your change, your encouragement, your wisdom. Today, as I head out onto the battlefield, fill me with your joy, not timidity. I believe that you have not given me a spirit of timidity, but of power, love, and sound mind. I trust you for every battle that's ahead. I want you to know that this is the start of happiness. Healing and feeling and moving forward, and all of this hard means that we were learning from it. We were learning something new, which brings us one step closer to happiness and being who we were meant to be. I'll see you next time.